Hi, my name is Ruth Slagle. I am the instruction librarian here at Jackson State, and today I'm going to show you how to do research on a quite hard topic, actually. So, this is geared towards the process of research, how it can change and evolve, and sometimes you might hit roadblocks and you'll have to try research, search changing your search terms perhaps, or you might have to go different ways to find information. So first off, let me show you where my information is. So here we're on Jackson State's library page. You can locate anybody you want to contact in the library over here at About the Library. Library staff. So these are our librarians who work in the library. And these are our satellite campuses as well. So here is my information, Ruth Slagle. My email is rslagle@jscc.edu. You can also contact me via my phone number or come into the office. I also have a cell number you can contact. You can you can text or call me. It's 731-227-2790. And feel free anytime to call or text, and I will answer you as soon as I can. So we're going to talk today about Scheherazade. Scheherazade, my first encounters with Scheherazade was the play that Nikolai Rimsky-Korsakov had written I think he wrote in the 1800s. So here is a really good, if you're interested, I can also send you the link, but I'm just going to show you guys. Open. The music is really pretty. I love it. So this is the ballet that I believe, don't tell us, but I believe it's a Russian at the beginning, actually. Okay, so it's the Mariatsky Orchestra who did it. And, sorry about that. So it has, I believe, 6 sections. And like each of them are different stories from Scheherazade. I'm pretty sure I read somewhere that Scheherazade is represented by a violin, and you'll find this in music that like music that is based off of a story. Like different instruments will represent different characters in the story. Anyways, great ballet. So I have compiled a lot of different resources that I found when I was working with a few students on trying to find resources on Scheherazade. It is a tough topic because there's an interesting dialogue about it in that the Western world is very fantasized by and fascinated by Scheherazade, and they have written a lot of critiques of it, but the Middle Eastern world is different. Like, they critique it from a different viewpoint, and they're maybe not as fascinated by it as the West. So I also wanted to show you all some maps on where Persia today is located. So I don't know how much y'all know of this, but Persia is a very ancient culture, and it goes back to the Babylonians, and the Persian Empire is quite old. So right here is Persia. Today that is part of Iran. And in Iran, Persian is still spoken. Sometimes you'll hear Arab. A lot of people refer to as Arabs as like this huge people group. It's kind of similar to like African Americans. In that we're referring to a large population, but it's actually they make up a lot of different countries, like they represent. So like when you're talking about Arab, you might be talking about the whole Middle East, but it's also representation of a lot of different people groups and what are countries today. And so the Middle East is also, it is in Asia, and part of it a little, yeah, I know Turkey is part of Europe, and think there are a few other countries where like the top parts of them are part of Europe, but I'm not 100% sure on that. So like right here, this is modern day Turkey. Up here we have modern day Iraq, this general area. We have this is all Saudi Arabia, Egypt, of course. Afghanistan's over here. Then we have like our Kazakhstans, all of our stand countries that came out of the USSR after it fell in 91. Anyways, that's just kind of geography for you, just so you can like kind of know where on a map, like where these stories are taking place. All I'm saying about the Persian is also you could look up Arab, but because it's actually occurred in Persia, you might sometimes want to look up like Persian folk tales, not just Arab folk tales, because it was also written in Persian and it's connected with Persia. Also, so this is one of those sources where you have to look up multiple search terms. There's not just one search, and this is true for a lot of research. You can't just look up one search term. There are multiple search terms that are attributed with this topic. And excuse me. Also, there are different spellings of Scheherazade. There are 2 recognized spellings that are very popular. But then there's like also a lot of varied other spellings. So again, here are a few other spellings of Scheherazade. And then because it is also called a ballet, and the other complex part is it's Scheherazade is the storyteller of 1001 Nights or Arabian Nights. Arabian Nights. And there are a lot of little stories inside of the storytelling, so that can also complicate things. So the Symphony of Ohio did a program on the ballet the music composed by Rimsky-Korsakov. Sorry if I'm butchering it. And they had some other music, but then they wrote a little bit about Scheherazade, who she was. Okay, so we're gonna start in the beginning from the webs. Okay, so because you're looking at everything, we're gonna search the two spellings of Scheherazade. Now we could also do come into advanced search, and we're just gonna go ahead and copy and paste these out just to show you what it would look like. So or is a Boolean. So that you're telling the catalog or the database, I want to search Scheherazade, like these different spellings or these different terminologies that mean the same thing. And so you're going to tell it or, like Scheherazade spelled this way or Scheherazade spelled this way. So as you can see, there are a lot of different results. So some of them are looking at Scheherazade as a film. Some of them are looking at Scheherazade in a modern sense. Some of them are looking at Scheherazade in the ancient sense. Some of them are actually in not English. They're in Arabic, perhaps. And then some of them are mentioning Scheherazade, but they're not really about what we want to read about. So this is a good place where we can come over here to our content and filter out the content we don't really want. So there's 2 ways you can do this. You can either check mark the ones you want, or you can X out of the ones you don't want. So we're going to go ahead and check mark the ones we know we want. So we're going to do books, and ebooks, book chapters. We're going to take out book reviews. Book reviews can be good sources, but for this instance, we don't want them. We're going to do journal articles, and that's it. Apply those 3. So it has taken out still 2,000 results. Again, you could also narrow your search or filter your search for here by telling it what languages you wanted. So we could come over here and say we just want English, and it would filter out any of the others. So it's pulling ebooks and as well as journals, articles. Okay, so like here's one talking about Arab women in the memory of Scheherazade. So I don't know how much y'all know about Arabic culture and Islam, but women are not, for a long time, have not been considered as first, as citizens or as people necessarily, and women don't have a whole lot of like human rights over there. Infanticide happens quite a lot where female babies will be left out to die after they are born, and that is largely due to that women do not have their view of women and their rights are very different than Western views. So in this, that women are struggling. So it's also very interesting that in this story, a female where they are not thought as the same way as men, they are separate. They are taking on that she took on this role of telling the story, and she almost became she is an important character. And so today you'll actually find a few stories or a few chapters and a few books that are talking about her role in storytelling or her role in society. And you see a few different types of articles, and this all just depends of what ones you choose depends on what angle you're coming from in what you're writing. So there are quite a few. This one, so out of my ones that I put together, Scheherazade's Children, so like global encounters with Arabian Nights, that looked like a really good one, because that's giving you again perspective and not just like a Western perspective necessarily. And then so this looks like a good one. So women and slaves, gender politics, and Arabian Nights. So it's looking at the politics of gender Arabian Nights and how they're represented in Persian times and maybe today. I'm not 100% sure, but that looks like a really good article as well. Probably talking about what you're search on. One really important thing is, so I know Professor Sweet, she asks a question of you, and so when you're writing a paper, you're coming up with a hypothesis question, and then your thesis of your paper, or like what you're going to write your paper about, is answering that question. And so that's when you come and bring in your research, and you're going through and figuring out what sources support what I want to talk about, or how does this prove my point in what I'm going to talk about through my sources. Yeah. Okay, so this was a really short article, which was interesting. That was one of them. Oh yeah. Okay, right. Sorry. Okay, so what happened was I filmed this yesterday and then I didn't turn myself on. So it was very frustrating that I had made it and realized that I didn't. Okay. So, as you can see, there's a lot of different sources. So let's come and see what we can find with 1001 Nights. So there are kind of two terms with it. So it's called 1001 Nights. And you were doing our bowling. Or it's called the 1001 Nights. Okay, so this was one that I also thought was good. So this is coming from the Islamic perspective. Definitely a good one to look at. This is a translation of it. One thing I will say that when you are reading a book, any story that has been translated out into English from another language, it's a really good idea to read the introduction, because sometimes they'll tell you information they'll give you like maybe historical background, cultural background about the story that's being translated, or they will also give you just tips as you read it. It's a really good idea. I always do that when I am reading any book that is not originally written in the language I'm reading it in. So that's this book. So it actually breaks up 1001 Nights, Arabian Nights, into 3 separate volumes. This one looked good. Eating figs and pomegranates, taboos, and language, 1001 Nights. So, like I said before, it is mostly written from a Western perspective, but there are a few that's written from Middle Eastern perspective, and one of this is Journal of Arabic Literature. They're trying to just analyze 1001 Nights. So we're going to click on, actually, so I'm going to show you a neat trick you can do in JSTOR when you know that probably that journal has a lot on the topic you're regularly talking about. So we're going to do in this journal, and so it's going to be searching Journal of Arabic Literature. And so we're going to search 1001 Nights and just see what comes up. So we have 77 results that are searching 1001 Nights, and then also they did a special issue on just different articles written about 1001 Nights. And then what I talked about before, the search terms, these are also in JSTOR, they call them topics, and those are the topics that, or search terms that, or search subjects, or subjects even, that the author has identified with the article that they wrote. So there are a good amount of resources that you can find on Scheherazade. So initially when I started doing research on Scheherazade, I was like, and I talked to Scott, Mr. Cohen, and we were like, there's not a whole lot out there. But after I did a lot more digging, I was like, there's actually a good amount out there. It's just sometimes a reason of having to go dig for it. And this really shows you as a student that you dig for information just like you would dig for any other kind of information. You know, maybe when you go buy your car, you know, you might have gone and done research on what kind of engine you want, or what kind of engine the car has, or the truck. How many mileage does it get per gallon? Is it, you know, what is the road safety on it? What, I can't think of any other ones, but you're researching those kind of things, and the same method you use applies to research with a paper or with a project. You know, if you go buy a house, you're going to get a loan. Say you got your loan for college, you had to go do some research. Why did you choose Jackson State? You went and did research. You didn't like wake up one morning and be like, oh, I'm going to go to Jackson State, or wake up one morning and be like, I'm going to buy this car even though I know nothing about it. I'm going to buy a Silverado even though I have no idea. I've just seen it driving around. I like you know, some people do buy, like they just like the idea of the look, but most people don't. I know I didn't when I bought my car. I did some research. Or I actually, yeah, I did like the look. But then I did soon do some extra research on it. Okay, so that's this really awesome place that you can do this, finding the different journals. Oh yeah. And if you don't have much time on your hands, this is just a good way to go and you'll find stuff. Like it's all going to be written about this topic. So Arabian Nights and the question of authorships, that's another good article. Realism in one of the stories. Okay, so this is the one I just saw, neglected conclusions of the Arabian Nights, gleanings, and the forgotten, overlooked, recess. Okay. Some of these don't necessarily have to do with what you're looking for, but most of them do. Okay. So as you can see, there are a few different different encyclopedias that have come up on talking about 1001 Nights, and encyclopedias can be really good ways to go find search terms to look for, or they might have like an overview of the topic you're researching, especially if you aren't as familiar with it. It's a good idea to go look in encyclopedias, and you can access said encyclopedias through going to find resources, and you just click on about resources, and you can view all of our databases and journals we subscribe to. And we're going to go to Credo Reference, and we're going to look up Arabian Nights. Let's just talk about Arabian Nights in general, but then there's a much longer one, The Monsters. And it can take you to talk about, whatever, define that more. And you can come and see, these are the books where they got their information, the author is citing it. And you could come and see if we have these books as well. And I'll show you that in one I know we have. Okay, so this is the Oxford Companion to Fairy Tales, as it is a fairy tale. Very well written. More information on 1001 Nights, the history of it, how it became written in English. Really good, comprehensive This article looked really intriguing. So you can come and copy it and then, okay, so we're going to come back to our library page. Oh yeah. And so we know it's a journal, so the Georgia Review is a journal. So we're just going to go ahead and copy and paste it, or we're going to paste it into journal articles right here and search. Bam, there it is. We're going to see it in full text. We're golden. Good. Now there it is. Perfect. Now, if you say you download this, you want to download this right away, or you want to share it with yourself so that you can come back and look at it in future, I would recommend emailing it. What I would really recommend is just going to the email part and then, there we go, and copying and pasting this link in a file or whatever, or just go ahead and downloading it. I would just do whatever. Also, so if you did download it, and I do have this one downloaded actually, you can come in and search different terms in here. So, and oh, if you don't have Adobe on your computer, it's a free program. You can download it. I would go ahead and do it while you're in college. You'll be getting most of your articles will be in ways you can download. So you can come in, Mark. You can come in. Yes. Okay. So you come up there and you can put a sticky note. It's a great article or a note. Keep notes. So you can come and make like separate sticky notes on different pages that, maybe summarize a quote you like. But make sure you have the page notes you want, and so you can just save, and by having it downloaded onto your computer, like you can save these notes as you do your research. And then you can just press save over here and it's gonna save. You want to make sure you go ahead and after you've added your sticky notes, make sure you've just resaved it, and you can save over the document you've already saved. Okay, so we're saving over it. I don't trying to remember where I saved it before. Yeah, we'll do this over. We'll save it later. But yeah, you can just save it over the document you had it saved as. So that is that tip in PDF. Like I said, I'm so sorry. That was a great, can't go back. It happened. Okay, so I did save, so I'm going to show you real quick. This was a search that I saved in Credo Reference from Routledge. So I saved the link. I emailed myself the link. Bam, children's literature right there. And you can cite these. These are books. You're not going to have that. This is a really good one. So this talks about the translation of it as world literature. This is definitely a really good source. And also just reading through this, I know some professors don't want you to use an encyclopedia, but you can come and find information about that work that you can go and do research on. I'm pretty sure not all, but some professors don't mind, so you just need to check with your professor if you can cite a source. And sometimes they make exceptions for, especially if it's hard to find topics or find resources, so you just need to maybe double check with your professor before you maybe cite a bibliography, encyclopedia. So yeah, this is a really good one. So these are companions to literature. You can come in and, say you're doing something else. All the different ones they drawing it on. You can also come in here and you can just search within this title. Anyways, so that's just to show you guys. Alright, so we're gonna come back to interesting. So yeah, there's a lot of, you can again share the link to yourself so you can come back and access it later. So we're gonna search, let's search Arabian Nights. And because I'm not sure what will show up, quotation marks, so it knows to search that phrase together as, those two words together as one phrase, not to separate them out as Arabian and Nights. So this is a good article if you're writing about genie. It would probably be good. Eroticism. That's actually a chapter inside of a book. If any of these that you liked that you can't find later, you can feel free to email me and I can send you the ones that I actually remembered to save. And I did save, go back and save that one later. Okay, I also want to show you accessing a article, a chapter in a book. So we're going to click on this one, Arabic literature in the post-classical period. Access this one. So down here, you'll see there you can expand, and we're gonna click directly on that chapter. And you can use a chapter in a book. You guys are citing in MLA mostly, and if you have any questions on citing a chapter in a book, let me know. The Writing Center can also help you, but Purdue OWL is a great place to go on citations. So here's the MLA guide, formatting and style. And over here it breaks it out. I think it actually has chapter inside of a book. Now you do the chapter inside the book if there is a different author than the editor. You cite that differently. Look like that is the case here. So you wouldn't need to do a separate, you would just do, so there are 2 authors for this one. So you would do this one. There you go. Book with 1 or more authors. Then that's how you would cite it on your citation page. Also, another quick thing is you can come over here to the site. I would not recommend using the citation machines because they often can be wrong, and you don't want to have that. Also, you should look up Scheherazade since she's the storyteller in Creative Reference. It's just being slow over here, so we're just gonna ignore it. Usually it will drop down from up here, and it will list out all the different ways, most of the different citation formats, manual styles, and you just go to the one you want, MLA, and it will show you for the citation, for how you would put in your works cited page. So we're Creative Reference. Yeah, I would recommend looking up Scheherazade. Mostly what I've seen is it's mostly spelled this way for Scheherazade. Again, the Companion of Fairy Tales is a good one to go because it will do works, like it said, it will do countries. You can look up, it does characters inside of stories. Good place to go. And then over here, it's showing you related searches to Scheherazade. Some of them are not related, but most of them are story within a story. Like that's how she writes. None of these are other stories within a story. One other thing. So say you are doing your research and you want to save in EBSCO, you can save books that you find or articles. So you can come and sign in, and you create your own email and your own password. You can add to your folder. So you come up here to your folder and you have your book. These are articles. So you come down, your ebooks, and you have the book you added. You can also check it out if you like, and you can create a custom folder, or you could do like so the point of doing this is that you can have all your Arabian Nights, and that's just one way to help yourself stay more organized. This book, I think that's all. So if you guys have any questions, once again, here is my information. 731-227-2790 is my phone number, and my email is rslagle@jscc.edu. I am also in several of y'all's embedded in your courses, and you can go to the Ask a Librarian forum under discussion. I will show that to you real quick. It's not always in the same place, but it is in your discussion list. So you can come and ask me a question in there. We run early lit from a sweet class I was in. So there you go, Ask a Librarian. So yeah, if you have any questions, one more thing. You can also book a librarian. You can set up a meeting with me, or you can just send me an email and I'll answer you over email. But you could also, if you're on the main library, if you're on the main Jackson State page, you can also access the library going to academics and clicking on library. So you can book a librarian, which is you make an appointment to meet with me or anyone else, and you have to do it the day before. So you put your name in here. Meeting on campus is obsolete right now. You will be meeting with us on Zoom or on the phone call. So if you want to tell us what you're meeting about, or if you also, or you want to meet with a specific librarian, you can put their name in there, and then we know, have a setup with that librarian.